our session. Let me just share with you the agenda of today. So we are going to, I'm going to give an introduction about Ingram Micro, who we are and what we do. Then we are going to talk about incident response, what is it, and why do we need it, why it's important. We are going to identify some challenges that we are facing today. And finally, we are going to go through a comprehensive plan on how to build a successful incident response plan. So before I start, I will give you a quick interview about us. So Ingram Micro is the largest technology distributor worldwide with $50 billion revenue. We have offices in 54 countries and operations in around 130 countries. The cybersecurity division, which I belong to, our center of excellence, we are covering META region. And we also have other center of excellence in Europe, Singapore, United States, and India. We offer cybersecurity services and vendor-based solutions, but not only this. We also offer a set of products which has been developed in-house, and let me explain it very quickly. First of all, we have the Discovery Report, which is simply we are helping our customers to identify what are the data or details that might be there public without their knowledge. Maybe this organization, they suffered from a previous attack in the past, or maybe some data or confidential information has been leaked way or another, or maybe some system-related information that might be available publicly when it shouldn't. So we create a comprehensive report based on the findings. We share it with our customers with a set of recommendations on how to fix all of these weaknesses or vulnerabilities. The virtual lab is the second product, is a cloud-based solution. Now we are hosting more than 30 cybersecurity vendors. We use it for multiple purposes, such as our pre-sales engineers can deliver to our customers proof of concept in a virtual environment. We can deliver customer demos, trainings to our customers, enablement sessions to our partners. And the most important thing about the virtual lab, that we can create a comprehensive use case, which means that maybe one of the customers is interested in different products from different vendors. We can host these solutions in our virtual lab and create a comprehensive use case by integrating all of these solutions together. The other product is CyberGram. It's a self-assessment tool. Basically, our customer will go through questionnaires in 5 different domains. Based on the answers, we are going to identify what are the missing elements that he doesn't have, what are the services or the solutions that he need to implement in order to fill the gaps or secure himself. So we offer many cybersecurity services, such as penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, mobile application assessment, configuration review, network architecture review, and many more. We also offer cybersecurity trainings, starting from fundamental trainings in the cybersecurity to advanced trainings such as CISSP, also security for IoT and GDPR. We also offer managed security services and consultancy in governance, risk, and compliance. And we represent most of the strategic cybersecurity vendors in the market. So let's begin with our topic today about incident response. And let me explain first, what is incident response? Incident response is a process of addressing and managing results of an incident. It's about how quickly and efficient we can recover when we find cybersecurity breach. Some people might call it cybersecurity incident, IT incident, security incident. It doesn't really matter, whatever we call them. The purpose here is we need to know how to build a strong plan and dedicated team to manage the incident, minimize the damage and the cost of recovery. So the main goals of the incident response are to minimize the damage of the attack, to minimize the time of recovery from the attack, to create instructions and defensive steps that would prevent such an attack in the future as well. So the process of incident response starts with investigation, because investigation will allow security team to investigate the incident, and they must identify, for example, the attack vector, the malicious software, and maybe other tools used by the attacker in this incident. How it happened. They need to identify the network and systems and data affected by this attack. Also, the amount of physical and reputational damage caused by the attack. For example, the current stage of the attack life cycle. What is the current stage of the attack? And we will talk about these things in details in the planning stage. We also need to know things like when the attack started and when it ended, when actually it was detected. When this investigation is complete, the security team will use this information to recover the systems and to publish patches and updates, for example, to update the security policies that they have. And based on that, they will create and update a proper incident response plan. So the incident response plan is basically a set of instructions to help the customers to detect, respond, and recover from the network security incident that happened. These types of plans address issues like, for example, cybercrime, data loss, service outage, and many other things. Why? Is because during cybersecurity incident, security teams usually, if they don't have a proper plan in hand, usually they get frustrated because there will be a lot of things going on, and they may fail to stop this attack in a specific stage if they really don't have a proper plan in hand. This is important because security incident, definitely it can be a huge pressure, and that's why the teams must immediately focus on this as something critical. They need to have a clear thinking, and they need to respond with steps during the incident that will help them to prevent what is happening in order for the business to keep going. So before we go through the plan in details, I will just explain why incident response is something very, very important. As you know, data breaches cost companies a lot of things. Let's say operational downtime, reputation, definitely, financial loss, and losing customer trust, which will end up losing the customer itself. Maybe there will be some fines for non-compliance. Maybe there will be some fines, fees for consumer protection. So because the longer the vulnerability stay in the system, the more definitely it become dangerous and critical. For most organizations, breaches lead to low value of the stock of the organization, like what happened, for example, with stock prices for some of the largest data breaches within the last few years, like Sony and Yahoo, when the value of the stock dropped for so long, even after the breach for years. They were trying to recover. Because really, all of us as consumers, if we are using a service or hosting our data somewhere, and something happened to this business, the first thing we think about as consumers, to take our business and put it somewhere else that will not be affected by data breach. So if a security breach is not probably handled quickly, the company might lose so many customers. So the incident response plan used to be optional before, but as of now, almost all the industries are required to implement incident response plan, even if it's not related to standards, for example, because if we look at the PCI standard, they require that the customers need to develop incident response plan. Some other standards they don't, but even if all the industries they need to implement an efficient and strong incident response plan, and let's see a couple of the challenges that will explain to us why this is important. So when we go to the challenges, we have definitely mindsets. We have different opinions about incident response. So some organizations, they might tell you that the matter of fact, we never faced any attack before. So that gives them confidence not to invest more or concentrate more on this, because if it didn't happen to them yet, maybe they will look on it as just something they get to know from the news, or it's something not really real, or regardless the reason. But maybe actually the organization is under attack and they don't know. Because from what we see here and there, sometimes they discover attack after 4 months, after 6 months, that it was taking place all of this time. Because some attacks has a short term, some attacks has a long term that can stay in the network for weeks and weeks and weeks, and no one will be able to identify it. So even if you never faced it, it will always be important to implement a strong incident response plan, not to put your business and your operations and your reputation on risk. Some others, they have a different opinion about it. They say that we are too small for this. Like small to medium business, for example, they think that they have a small business to run, and most of the hackers, they don't even know them, and there will not be any reason for them to be hacked. But this is also wrong, because from another perspective, we can say that maybe there is a hacker who was able to find your web application that your business is relying on every day. And even if you think that you are too small, you are not too small for an attacker. Maybe he's trying to prove himself. Maybe he's trying to just do it for fun. So he found that you have a critical vulnerability, and he wants to prove to himself that he's strong enough to exploit it. So maybe he doesn't have really a strong reason to attack you, other than that he just wants to prove to himself something. But at the end of the day, you lost your application, which will lead that you lost your operations and your business. So also, if the organization or the company is too small, still they need to invest in incident response, and they need to invest in security. Some others, they say we are secured because we have everything. Sometimes they say this: we have everything. We have the firewalls, we have IPS, we have SIM solution, we have DLP, we have everything. But this is also a wrong approach, because even if an organization, they have a lot of devices, maybe these devices, they are not configured properly. So maybe you have the best firewall in the market, but it's not configured the way it should be. The policies, the rules, and everything. The same apply to email security, web security, DLP, and so on. So it's not because you have all the security devices in the market that means that you are completely secured. Also, lack of budget for tools and technologies sometimes become the reason for organizations not to pay attention to this, when they think like they have to invest in some services and some solutions to combine them together to build a proper incident response plan, because the lack of the budget. But definitely, in order to protect your assets and to protect your reputation and the customer details or the customer confidential data that you have, maybe you need to pay a huge attention to how you are going to respond when the attack happens before it's too late. So definitely we need to invest. The last thing is the opposite, is lack of incident handling and skills. So we might face the opposite scenario when the organization is so big, they have a huge team, maybe they have all the security devices and maybe services, but when the attack itself happens, they find that they don't have the proper skills in-house, because maybe most of them, they get panic and they start to blame each other and they run here and there, and they are not able to control the incident properly. So that will cost you a lot. And that will make you frustrated as an organization, because at the end you will say that, how come? I invested millions, for example, I have a huge team, I have all the needed resources. So that's why here it's important to implement incident response simulation, which means from time to time, I will have to implement a simulation to my incident response team of an attack. And let's watch them and see what they are going to do when this simulation will happen, in order for us to know what kind of weaknesses we identify and work on. Is all the team, do you know the responsibilities for each one? When the attack happens, what should be done? Someone maybe will go to the same solution and collect logs. Someone will go to the firewall and try to find some evidence, and so on. So setting the expectations from the team is extremely important, and that you can achieve it by, from time to time, every 6 months, every 3 months, you run a simulation attack in your environment to the incident response team, in order to make sure that everyone is acting the way they should.
Alaykum salam. Monique bhai, he didn't send email till now. You need to change the only. Come on, 2 minutes job.
Information that sent to you, maybe he will.
No, nothing to do with that one. Yes, I said you just send him to
Can
change
you
the logo.
announce yourself, please? Someone was open mic. I'm really sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, let me close it.
Apologies. I'm really sorry. So
I didn't notice. Sorry that one.
it's okay. I'm really sorry for this. Thank you so much. So now we are going to go through the needed steps in order to build a proper and a strong successful incident response plan. So this plan has 6 different stages, as we see, or phases. So we have preparation, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and lesson learned. So we will spend some time here. We will go through each one to see what should be done in order to have a strong and reliable plan in our organization. So the first phase, the preparation, this phase actually deals with preparing the team itself to be ready to handle the incident whenever it happens on the spot. This incident can be, for example, power outage, it can be failure in hardware component, or it can be something bigger, like a violation of the organization policy that happened by employee, for example, or it can be an attack that the organization is suffering from, like ransomware, DDoS attack, and so on. But regardless the cause of the incident, preparation is the most critical and important phase compared to all the others, for one simple reason, because it will really determine how well your team is ready to respond in the time of crisis. And that's why, if we go back, that's why I mentioned why the simulation of the attack is extremely crucial and important, because we need to make sure that in the crisis time, when I get hit by attack or natural disaster or whatever is happening, I need to know that I have a team that will take the right action. So the security team must take fast actions and must also prepare process that will include tools and policies that can help prevent, detect, and respond to this cyber attack. This preparation definitely will include also security awareness trainings beside the simulation, and make all the employees of the company familiar with the security policies. And for example, if non-technical employee, something happened in his device unusual, what he should do and so on. So that's why we also need to prepare all the employees in the organization on how to respond in such situations. So for the incident response team, in the preparation stage, there are a couple of questions to address in order to move forward. Some of these questions are, for example, what changes is needed to make our security better? What kind of trainings we need to implement immediately, because trainings might be different. I need some trainings for our HR department, maybe different trainings for our finance department, and so on. What are the weaknesses that happened to make this breach exploit in my environment? I need to understand this in order to move forward with a solution. And also we need to address that how to ensure that similar breach will not happen again after I fix it. So I need to understand in the deepest details what was going on in order to take the right steps to close all of these gaps, not to face this again as much as possible. Moving to the second phase, which is the identification. This phase is all about detection and determination of the security team. What should be done in the information security incident? Is it require the team to gather events from like a couple of sources, like for example, log server error messages that they found, or some other resources like IBS or firewall that may have some evidence that will help you to determine, is it really an incident or not? Because this is also important, because maybe you will have a lot of false positives. So you are not expecting from your team or your organization that once an event happen, they will do all the steps without thinking. So the second step, we need really to identify if it's a real threat or not. So if it's a real incident, then it should be reported as soon as possible, definitely, to the incident response team, so they can collect evidence, they can prepare for the next step. So security team maybe will compare this information to some knowing indicators. We call it indicators of compromise. So these indicators are pieces of data that will identify the malicious activity that was happening in the system or the network. Maybe, for example, it was all about multiple failed connections. Someone was trying to log in an application or system belongs to you multiple times, and then he failed. So maybe he's an employee that he forgot his password, or maybe someone was trying to log in from unauthorized access. Some files used by the malicious software need to be identified. Some suspicious registry files that you might find. So if I give an example for this phase of the identification, let's say, for example, that you have an employee contacted the security team reporting that there is malicious activity or something weird or unusual happening in his device. Or maybe it's the IBS or the same solution reporting unusual activity that it didn't happen before, or maybe it didn't happen in a specific time. So all of these measurements and steps, it's extremely definitely beneficial to keep all the possibilities on the table. because I cannot just go with one approach and I say that, okay, I found the reason, I found the incident. So definitely, when it comes to incident response planning and measurements, always I need to be open for more and more possibilities in order to identify the root cause and to take the right steps. So in the identification phase, some made steps or things that should be done by the incident security team. For example, they need to understand when exactly this happened. They need to know who discovered it and how it's been discovered in order to relate it to other things and to know how to fix it. Very important to understand what was impacted. Is it one device that I just need to isolate from the network and it's the end of story for now? Or there are other impacts in the network or other applications and users that I still don't know about? So this is a very important question in order to identify the scope of the compromise or the situation that you have. Another important thing, does it affect your business as of now, the operations? Like, for example, if we are talking about your website or we are talking about any critical application that you are using in your business in the daily operation, does it affect this operation from going on, or it's something different? So that will help the team to quickly move forward to the next phase, which is containment. So the primary or the core purpose of the containment is to limit the damage and to prevent it from happening again. So here, I'm going to prevent the damage or the loss. I'm going to limit it. And I need to identify the root cause in order to prevent this from happening again in the near future or in the long term. So there are several steps to do this. So each one is necessary really to complete the incident response preventing plan. So when a breach, for example, is discovered, some people, they take different approaches. And we saw it here and there. Some people, they tend to get panicked and they start to remove the data that has been breached or the hard disk, or to get rid of anything. But however, that would make it actually worse on the long run, because you will destroy valuable evidence that you need to investigate to determine where this breach started at the first place. And when you do this, you will be able to create a plan based on evidence you have in hand. So instead of destroying and removing quickly, we need to think a little bit to control the situation, how to control the situation, and act wise as much as possible, so it doesn't spread and cause further damage to your business. So in this phase, what is required actually from the security team is to identify the compromised devices, and they need to adjust the security policy. They need to update it. They need to go to the security policies that they have, and they need to do certain immediate updates to prevent this from being infected this infection being spread in the network, for example. So the security team must also, maybe they will do some configuration. They will change configuration in firewalls or in IPS or in any critical component, core switch, core router, and so on. So that will at least ensure that the business processes and operations that you have will continue running without any interruption until you fully control the situation. So if any, for example, one of these servers that the organization got compromised with, the security team didn't immediately isolate it from the network, that will put you in definitely a risk that might affect other other devices as well. So if you notice preparation, identification, containment, even in the other three phases that we are going to talk about, you will always see something in common in the successful incident response plan. You need to act quickly, but at the same time, you need to be trained how to act quickly in a professional manner with confidence that you know that you are doing the right thing in order to save your business, to save your reputation, to save your customers, to save money, and everything. So in the containment phase, some questions that should take place from the incident response team immediately in order to move to the next phase, such as what has been done in the breach in the short term and the long term. So I need to control this. I need to see like, okay, now I'm controlling this on the short term. I'm happy. I isolated my server that has the problem, and that we call it the short-term solution. But at the same time, I need immediately to think what should be done on the long term, because it's not just about now. If something happened now, that means that I'm under attack, I'm a target for someone out there, and I need to take now more and more strong measurements in order to protect myself in the long term. I need also to know if any malware has been discovered. When it discovered, what happened with it? Is it removed? Is it still there in the network somehow on other devices? I need to go back and check if there is a proper backup for what I lost. Am I going to restore it, or it's totally gone? So based on these two directions, I need to know what to do. I need to, based on, for example, the attack type itself, maybe it was something for unauthorized access. So in this case, maybe I will think about multi-factor authentication to be implemented in place. I need to think about to review the policy of the credentials in my environment and who's accessing what. I need to definitely take care of the security patches for the server that's been compromised and for everything else. Because if I got this breach, I'm not going to wait and say like, okay, I got it, and later on I will check everything else. Immediately, without thinking, you need to start publishing batches for all the other components in your data centers that you have, related to security or not. The second phase, which is the eradication, this phase, you can imagine it as when you actually take the action to remove what happened and to restore the affected system. So here you need to find more elements to the root cause of the breach. That means that malware definitely should be totally and securely removed. Again, we are talking about running batches. You need to dig deeper if there is still any trace in your network for malware or any issues that's still affecting the network. Otherwise, you will keep losing data or losing business. So the eradication phase, here the security team must restore the compromised assets to the original where it was before the attack. So this usually will involve that you will delete, for example, the operating system, or create a new operating system, or you need to restore the configuration. It depends about the device that we are talking about. Maybe you are going to replace the device itself. You are not confident anymore to fix it, and you are going to replace it, and you will keep this isolated for a while until further investigation. So this phase is about how to improve after that you learned from what happened. How you are going to take these quick actions to bring business back and to restore what has been destroyed as much as in hand. It depends about your situation. You have backup. Depends about the type of attack and so on. So here, for example, some things need to be identified, and the incident response team, they need to think about, like, is the malware has been really removed totally from the network, and the policies has been already applied, the cybersecurity policies that they have, and these devices, I found the backup, the proper images to re-image it again and to run it again, and so on. The second phase is recovery, and this when you simply going to put back the operation as it was. But it's not only this. Recovery is not only about that you got successfully recovering from the attack. You have a much, much bigger responsibility here. The responsibility that you cannot forget what happened. So in order not to forget what happened, the security team must monitor the condition of these systems that has been recovered. Because these systems got affected, and the need for some period of time to make sure that the threat was completely removed from these systems. So this process of restoring and returning the machines or the devices as it was, during this time, it's really important to get your system definitely and operations up and running again without any worries that you are going to have a breach again, because you might lose confidence for a while, or you might be afraid for a while that something will happen tomorrow or after tomorrow. And that's why it's extremely important to connect all of these phases together in order not to put yourself in this position ever again. So the security team will, as I said, they will put these systems in a high priority of monitoring. It should be monitored 24/7 to understand, is it targeted or is it gone? The last phase, lesson learned, which is definitely after this will happen, after you recovered and you monitored the system and you found that you are totally recovered and everything is okay and your environment is stable now, you have a bigger mission actually. It doesn't stop here, because you need to analyze what happened, and based on this you need to develop measurement that will help you to prevent this from the future. So you need to put on the table all the lessons that you learned, starting from the first phase until the fifth phase, what you went through, what you lost, what you had to invest again, what kind of things you need. Do you need another services that wasn't there, or another components? Do you need to invest really in the skills of the team that need to be really developed quickly to meet such an event? A lot of things should be considered in this phase, and this should be documented definitely, and that will help you to create a new security policy in your environment, learning from this situation or from what happened, to move forward with confidence and to make sure that your business, your customers, your data, all the assets that you have, they are secured as much as possible. Because to be also honest, you know what's going on in the security world. You will never be 100% secure, and it's not just a word that we keep repeating here and there. Because today, let's say that I was able to invent a firewall stronger than anyone in the market. It will be there for a while, and it will protect my customers for a while. But again, another hacker will be smarter than me, and he will keep trying and trying and trying, and he will find vulnerability, and then he will take control. And then I will apply patches to fix this. And then someone else in the future will come with something else. So what is I'm trying to say from here, it's very wrong to think whatever you have from tools, people, devices, knowledge, that you are completely secured. And I'm going to link it with what I shared with you, and that's why you need to implement a very strong incident response plan, not to fool ourselves that we are protected, that we have what it takes to protect ourselves. So we need to keep every 3 months, every 6 months, even if nothing happened, we need to keep updating our incident response plan, adding more points to make sure that we are on track. We need to go and check the reports outside, what is happening. We need to check what is happening with the latest attacks, and it might happen to me. So all of this, if you create it as an incident response plan, that will be something extremely beneficial to you, and it will give you a peace of mind when you are running your business. So the last thing is just here I got this just from NIST, just to share with you quickly again in different stages what are the things that might help you. So when you observe, for example, we need to use reliable log system like SIM solution or IDS to monitor the vulnerabilities and to see what is happening. Some other phases like ACT, for example, you require forensic analysis tools, you require backup, data recovery tools. So all of this work together. If you don't pay attention to one of these domains, then you are investing in the wrong place, because all of them together, they make sense only together in order to protect yourself as much as possible. So at the end, it's not really one thing. It's all about how you combine all of these things together. We need to give trainings to the people to have knowledge in order, not only the incident response team and not only the security and help desk team. We need to give trainings to everyone in the organization, especially now after COVID-19. Definitely, we are facing much more threats on our business every day. So we need to tell our employees, non-technical employees who's working from home, like HR or finance and so on, what they should do when they work remotely to protect themselves, for example, and protect the valuable assets that they have in their devices. As well, we need to implement solutions. And these solutions, it's not only products. It's a combination between penetration testing, vulnerability scanning, configuration review, architecture review, and at the same time, I need a firewall, and I need an IPS, and I need a DLP, email security, web security, many, many things. So trainings, services and products, and then I need to put this in action. I need, in the consultancy part, I need to know that I'm creating the right policy, that I have tools and products and people are able to manage this, that I have everything in place to have a proper plan to protect myself. So even if nothing happened to you in 1 year or 2 years, you are lucky. But that doesn't mean that it will always be like that. So in order to give yourself the confidence and the peace of mind that it will always be like that, you need to take care of the 6 phases that we explained, and that's it. So that was all from my side. What I can do now, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box, and I will take it one by one. So I found some questions here because I didn't see it first. So Michael was saying you may be small, but the business owner need to realize they are connected to ecosystem with their other business partners and customers. Definitely, Michael, because this is what I tried to explain, because some customers or even individuals on the personal level, like sometimes that you think that because you are an individual, no one will target you. But there is always a reason or another for any hacker, and I'm talking from pen tester experience, gray hat experience, that we have different motives to do this. When I was younger, I used to do it just for fun. When I was in 23, 24, it gave you this kind of power that you get crazy and you feel like you have a superpower. So maybe I will affect someone that he think that he doesn't have to be afraid from anything. And actually, the matter of fact, most of the, we call them script kiddies, the guys that they just use some existing tools to attack, they always use the small business. Because they don't want to be traced, definitely. They don't want any noise. They just want to go destroy your system and just run away. And if you don't have the right capabilities, you will not even know what to do after that. Another one, a typical ransomware campaign doesn't care target size, security level, budget, scale. The campaign owner is playing number game. They target as much as they can. Yes, this is so true. I agree with you 100%. This is so true about ransomware or any other attack. Do you have any other question, guys, that I can help you with? I know we finished 15 minutes earlier, maybe because I speak too fast. Apologies for this. Having multiple vendors is better than single one. This is great. Yes, this is what I always say, because some people, they don't believe in this when they go just to one vendor and they get everything from the vendor. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that when a vendor offer everything, it's wrong. No, but you as a customer, if you are wise, if you have the experience, you know that multi-layer security is the approach, is the only approach to protect yourself. You have to collect the pieces in your network very wisely in order to have a multi-layer approach. Yeah. It depends really. It depends about the organization. It depends about the solution that you're talking about. But I understand. It depends because of the situation that we are going through since a while. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, guys. Thank you so much, really, for your time. I really appreciate it. I know that we are all busy. We have things to do. Thank you so much. I hope it was useful and informative to you. I hope I was able to give you something new to help you in your business or as even a knowledge. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.